program National Agenda. National Agenda is a current affairs program of Ditv that serves as a platform for discussion on national issues, and to which experts on various areas of human endeavor are invited to make informed comments on the issues under discussions. This edition of the program will take a look at the projected increment of additional 11 million Nigerians into poverty in the country. And the guests with me, or the guests are one, the Musa Zubairu, Public Affairs Analyst, the immediate past Permanent Commissioner of the Kaduna State Legislative Service Commission. And we are awaiting the second one. You are welcome to the program.
Thank you very much, Haji Badaribi, and it's good to have this program with you for the first time.
Okay, before we go directly into the program, we have a special report on that. Well,
at least 11 million Nigerians will be pushed into the poverty rank in 2022 due to the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic. The Minister of Finance, Budget and National Planning, Mrs. Zainab Ahmed, stated this at the National COVID-19 Summit in Abuja. Represented by the Director of Budget Office, Ben Akabwezi, the Minister explained that the pandemic had worsened the recession, which has pushed an additional 6.6 million Nigerians into poverty in 2020. According to her, before the pandemic, about 2 million Nigerians were expected to fall into poverty by 2020 as population growth outpaced economic growth. The pandemic, he said, jacked up the number, bringing the total newly poor to 8.6 million in the same year. This implies increase in the total number of the poor in Nigeria from about 90 million in 2020 to about 109 million in 2022.
My name is...
Well, I believe, comrade, you are all ears. You had the brief report on the projected 11 million Nigerians falling into poverty line in the country.
It's a very good report.
Well, let us first of all look at the impact of COVID-19 on individual Nigerians and vis-a-vis the federal government or the nation's economy.
Well, I think you cannot separate the nation's economy from the impact it will have on the citizens of the nation. COVID-19 really has affected not only Nigeria but the world. You know, it is a pandemic because it's there. We have had so many variants of it. We have had the Delta variant, and now we are having the Omicron, which is really affecting the world and is really putting Nigeria into another test, into another set. It's giving Nigeria another setback. So within the context of that, you can see that really the economy of the nation really has suffered because Nigeria has to really lock down for almost a year when it happened, when the COVID-19 came. And then not only that, we are a mono-economy country. And you find that at that time, the barrel of crude oil, the one that we rely on so much, has gone down to the extent of to $1 per barrel. And even looking for buyers at that amount, you cannot have. So you see, we had so much problem that really affected the country. And at the same time, so many countries of the world that we call the big economies of the world, you know, were so apprehensive, were dragging their feet to come into Nigeria to invest within that period because they were not sure of what they are coming to meet, and they don't even believe in the healthcare system of the country. And then the COVID-19 has also affected not only our trade internally, but the external trade, to the extent that all the borders were closed. You find that there is no interaction with other countries, and you come to see that most our industries here at home are relying on their raw materials coming from outside, if you are having an agriculture or an agrarian society like ours, you'll find that to even process some of the farm produce you have, you will have to really get some of the additives imported. So you will find that it becomes so difficult for the country, for the industries within the country to function. And not only that, when they function, the money for them to purchase these things are not there, because the countries are not making, the industries are not making any profit. The people are not getting what they need to get. So you find that the industries really come to a halt. And at the same time, we have a very shabby, though the Committee on COVID has tried, but when you look back, our healthcare system was not prepared for this kind of pandemic. So to the extent that you find that the country was spending so much money that is supposed to be used on palliative for people that are close. Like in Nigeria, here, people are close. So the money that are supposed to be used for that, we have to really now start getting the healthcare system to meet up the challenges of the COVID-19. Lucky enough, we have some good spirited Nigerians, some in Kano. I know that of Kano. I don't want to mention the name, but at least they have done so much that they have even donated materials, and at the same time, even the center where people will be isolated. The isolation camps were built by these public spirited individuals. So you find that, and at the same time, there is massive corruption. Massive corruption affected the COVID-19 within the country, and at the same time to the individuals. Because when you look at the palliatives that were given, you find that many people were just left to suffer on their own, whereas the government is claiming that it has given out palliatives to its citizens. So you find that the citizens were not, the palliatives were not reaching out to the citizens, to the extent that many people were even accusing those responsible of hiding these things towards 2023 elections. So you find that really there are so many things that come, and at the same time we are so lackadaisical within the context of the implementation of the rule of law in this country. So the people that offended, you find that are hardly brought to book. They are hardly cautioned. They are hardly really warned. So nothing is happening. So you find that from the country's point of view, you find that no business is coming in, no revenue is coming in, and at the same time, we have not invested enough for rainy days like this within the context of our foreign reserve, within the context of our health system, within the context of our education. Education suffered so much to the extent that the people of the poor really suffered because they don't have such facilities that will aid them really to give their children education and to keep them in line with the academic calendar. So the academic calendar suffered so much to the extent that the country really, or the common man or the country itself really suffered greatly. So COVID-19 really has affected the lives of the people, and the lives of the people here, you cannot separate it from the economy, because it is the economy that really kind of engine the lives of the people, and the people engine the economy. So the two sides, you find that really there is no that kind of interaction. So there is no complementation between the two. So none is complementing the other. Everything comes to a static because the system is so reliant on one economy. That economy is petrol. Petrol could not sell in the world market. It was there that Nigeria is looking for buyers. Left, right, and center. Nobody is ready to buy. The price of crude oil crashed, and then no buyers again. So when you look at it, even the country, we cannot really absorb what we have. So
yes. I don't know because government perhaps didn't look at it from that angle.
No, you see, it just came.
Yes.
It just came to the extent that the government is not prepared for. That's why I was saying that our systems are not prepared for such kind of emergencies. Look at our healthcare system. It was when the COVID-19 came that we started running helter-skelter to get some of these things really organized. But societies that have responsible leadership, that have care, that respect the rule of law, will have all its systems really near perfect. But here in this country, it's not. You find that even in the United States of America, they have problem of where to camp the isolated people. where to even do something. But at the same time, their system was working. But in Nigeria, the system was not working, to the extent that anybody that is supposed to be isolated is afraid of going to the isolation camp because he's not sure of what he will get there. So you see, so all of these things, we are not prepared for such kind of emergencies.
Well, ironically, in this context, the government attribute this the recession in the country to population growth, meaning this skyrocketing of number of the poor to 11 million. Basically, according to the government, is as a result of the population growth, despite the COVID-19.
No, you see, I think it's a wrong estimation by the government, because they have made the estimation of 11 million, but I don't think really they have any scientific major criteria with which they have come to that 11 million. Because to those of us that have really worked in such kind of environments, and with the COVID-19 coming, and with the general global recession, you cannot really say that 11 million is. In Nigeria, it will be more than 11 million. Because when you look at the banditry that is taking place in particularly the northwestern part of Nigeria, particularly when you look at this northeast, where there is Boko Haram, for ages, people there have not really had any meaningful economic activity taking place there. And when you look at the southeast is on fire. When you look at the southwest group, they have so much kind of unrest socially, where you look at the issue of Sunday Igboho fighting a non-existent enemy. You know, they have just hyped up the whole system to the extent that nobody is set to even face the reality of economic rejuvenation of this country. So when you look at it from that point of view, you will come to see that really the government has really not given us the criteria to arrive at that. But for us to make our simple calculation, we would say that it's going to be more than 11 million, because no economic activity is taking place. The government really is not really having the kind of resources to provide the social infrastructure that will galvanize the people to run their own economic activities. The loan that the central government is giving, which is very, very good on paper, which we can say really theoretically is a fantabulous kind of program. But at the same time, that program is not reaching out to the people that really deserve that kind of assistance. So when you look at it, the misplacement of priority in some of these places, you find that really it's not really giving us that result. So it's going to be more than 11 million. So the government must have to prepare in its budget, in its statistics, in its design to approach the pandemic or the issue. I think really they should really think more than that, because 11 million, even in the northwest and northeast, will have more than that. So I think really the government really needs to tell the country the truth, and then let them tell us what criteria they use to arrive at 11 million people that will have it's a country of 200 million, and it's a country that really is reliant on petroleum resources and to some extent agriculture. Tourism is not really potential enough really to bring much to the country. We talk of the activities in the ports area. That one, nobody knows what is really accruing to the corpus of the nation. Because the last time when they were saying that NNPC may have difficulty in remitting to the national treasury, you find that these areas, nobody is talking about them. And these are areas that are supposed to substantially contribute to that national treasury. We have the area of custom. Custom, nobody knows what is contributing. You just hear that at the end of the year, some trillions are given. But what are the criteria that were followed to get? So some of these things we really need to arrange to have the criteria by which some of these things were met, some of these things were arrived at. Not until we have that, we will not be able to say that Nigeria is free of corruption. Because when you give people something in hidden, you don't really expose, you don't really make it known to the people, that I think is not working. And it's not in the spirit of the open government partnership that Nigeria is a signatory to.
Okay. Well, I don't know if I call you expert or a luminary, in this aspect. You are one time saddled with the responsibility of empowerment in Kaduna State.
No, not empowerment. Fighting poverty.
Fighting.
Because I was then the ambassador of the president among the poor people.
What is the problem? Why, up to this moment, it seems the solution, the problem is defined, or the remedial solution established to deal with it?
Well, you see, first and foremost, we have this problem of lack of continuation of programs. When a government comes, a new government is always eager to bring its own program without concluding the first one. So you find that the resources put in there are wasted because you have not seen it to its logical conclusion. Why? Because people think that people personalize governance. You just feel that when you come into office, your programs are what you will be able to fulfill. But we think that really government should be a continuous process. When a government comes, let them look at what is there and then start it. The same PDP government of that time brought the poverty, first poverty alleviation program, then later poverty eradication program. But the poverty alleviation program and the poverty eradication program were almost married, and they continued to pursue the same course. But at the same time, let us remember that in the PAP, the poverty alleviation program, there was wastage. No research was made. Experts were not brought really to tell the nation, this is the problem of the nation. So a lot of money was sunk in there to the extent that there was no result. So when the poverty eradication program comes, it was really spread to the extent that every nook and cranny of the country is covered. And that is one problem that was there that was not addressed. But to now reach out to the crannies of the country, nook and crannies of the country, you'll be able to know the problem of the people. Now back to your question. The question is that why it is still prevalent, that as if the war is not ending on poverty eradication. One, as I told you, as I started saying, there was lack of continuation of programs of government. The corruption is there, and when you talk of corruption, then you know that really is the magnitude is so much that many people, in the name of fighting corruption, will be will be opening bank accounts. They will be stashing the money in their own bank accounts, and the law is not really pursuing those kind of people, expose them and then punish them accordingly. That is not happening. You find that many people that serve in such kind of places, whether it's alleviation, whether it's fight of program, whether are new programs of government to fight and reduce the intensity of poverty in this country, you see these things are not happening. So when you look at it from that point of view, you will look at that. And at the same time, we refuse to have the infrastructure that will open up, you understand, the rural areas for people to have their own kind of living without rushing to the urban centers. So you find that the rural areas were left at the mercy of the urban centers. So instead of a person who is a farmer to remain in his village, in his rural area, to continue his agricultural activities, would rather come to the city and then be riding keke napep and the rest of it. So not until such kind of amenities are provided in such villages, and for them to do that. And at the same time, even if that is done, you need to really assist those communities, put them into cooperatives. When you put them into cooperatives, then try to provide for them a kind of help them to build a cottage industry that will be responsible, or that will take care of all the produce they have in that area.
But sometimes, unfortunately, you see them coming individually.
No, you see, that's why I said setting them into cooperatives. Yes. In Kaduna State, what we did was, when we had what we call the Village Economic Development Solution, it's only in Kaduna State that at least we gave this country the perfect picture, the perfect story with which to follow and then to succeed. What we did was we collaborated with State Ministry of Agriculture, Department of Cooperatives, to quickly help us to put these people into cooperatives, local government by local government area, ward by ward. So when they come into cooperatives, we make sure that the agri department make sure that the cooperative department make sure that these people are really properly put into cooperatives. So instead of giving individuals money, we gave them to cooperatives. And instead of us as an agency of government to give the money directly to the cooperatives, we refused to do that. Or we decided to give them the money through microfinance banks, so that the microfinance banks too will be active. So that time the the effect was multi in such a way that you find that the cooperative banks were really flourishing, because that time nobody was interested in putting his money in the cooperative bank, because people thought that these people, microfinance banks, because nobody knows that whether they will thrive or not. And at the same time, the people now are brought into cooperatives. In one local government area, when the chairman died, members of the cooperatives are telling me that there are so many problems, they don't know how to pay the money. I said, no, you are in a cooperative, that is why you have a treasurer, you have all these things. Treasurer, if you say that the chairman is dead and this thing is not really working fine, then there is problem. So what do you want? So I said, now look, I know what you want. Can I give you more money so that you continue the project, and give you more time so that you pay back in good time? We did that, and in fact, within no time, they were able to pay back, and we are able to revolve,
sustain the
system. So what I'm saying here is that when government brings in or brings out programs like this, there is no monitoring, nobody to monitor. And that monitoring will help whoever is taking the resources of government to be able to use them judiciously as enshrined in the law or in the objectives of the program. So that is it. So lack of, lack of supervision whenever government does things. And at the same time, sometimes the criteria for selecting the poor is not really being made properly. Like the conditional cash transfer that is happening now.
Yes, that's
while the vice president is running from one locality to the other. Last time they took him in this trader money from one market to the other. All of these things were just ceremonial. Like the trader money, he will go to a state and learn the program just 2 hours or so. Immediately he leaves the state, nothing happens. Nothing will happen. You just had it that day. People collected the 10,000 naira and it's all over. And I can tell you, if you ask the central bank and the office responsible, how many people have really returned the trader money that is given. So to the extent that we just feel that sometimes in fighting poverty, the issue of politics should not come into play. It should be seen strictly as a palliative that every beneficiary, every beneficiary must have to conform with the sense of nationalism and with the sense of patriotism to be able to redeem the nation from the shackles of poverty, and at the same time give way for others to enjoy the same. But the one that we are having now is that you don't know the first people that have graduated from the conditional cash transfer. And when you say conditional cash transfer, it means that certain conditions are attached to the kind of palliative loan or whatever you want to call it, or grant.
Until you fulfill.
Yes, until you fulfill that. So we expect that Nigerians should have come out to look at their peculiar problems to really put those conditions, and then that is why the government now will follow. And at the same time, we should know what year or what is the tenure, how many years are supposed to be or is supposed to be put there. So when we know the years that are supposed to be there for people to enjoy the conditional cash transfer, then we'll know the next set of people that will come. And conditional cash transfer is supposed to be given to the poorest of the poor.
I think, comrade, lack of policy continuity.
Yes, policy continuity. That's what I'm saying. It was the first thing that I said. Yes. Because you find that if a government comes, it will try now to just see it as personal. They personalize such kind of things to the extent that the policy that was brought is put aside. Yes. What we expect is that when you come as a new administration, the thing that you do is that look at the policy. How do you make it to own it to yourself? without disrupting the system, without making the government to lose. It's like a business. So like now, maybe after Erufai, will you come and say that now in Kaduna State you will now change all the
laws?
So all you need to do, yes, I would have to give now a kind of certain answer that is a kind of leakage to the next people that will come. So now try to see that now look, the infrastructure aspect of renewal of Kaduna has been fulfilled. So what role are you going to play now to make sure that the people for whom the projects were carried out really enjoy the benefits of it? So this is where the programs now will come. How do you do it? Some of the programs are what we are discussing now. That is fighting poverty, opening the gateways for investments and making sure that the investments are there, making sure that laws of the country, laws of the states really are followed strictly, because the infrastructure needs to be guarded. The infrastructure must be well kept. So that is very important. So at least so when a government comes with responsible people, with clever people on board, they will now be able to see that the government is never a loser in the investment that has been made.
Yes, comrade, to allow you to take a breath. Our
reporter
okay. Went around Kaduna township to source the view of the Nigerians on what is their comprehension or understanding about this 11 million projection of Nigeria.
No, we'll come back to that 11 million. Yes, you gave me two questions, so exactly. I think that 11 million we have to really come back
so
to.
Let us go to Vox Pop, where the citizens spoke.
The government is supposed to take a proactive measure to solve that. 11 million to go into poverty is a very serious case. Let the government, let the economic team work together and solve that problem. It's not a good thing for us to continue to go into poverty. The poverty rate is beginning to get higher day by day. By the year 2022, 11 million moved down into poverty again. It's terrible. They're supposed to take serious measures.
My name is Umar Hashim. This is a tragic story, because imagine the situation we are in Nigeria right now. But what the government says that about 11 million people will push into poverty in the year 2022 is a tragic story. If we can be able to look at our situation right now, more than 50 million, let me say majority of Nigerian people are living in crucial situation. So what do they think if more than 11 million in 2022 push into poverty in the year 2022? What will happen in Nigeria? Because if they could remember, before that's not how we are living in Nigeria. Before removing all the subsidy they have removed before, and now they are saying that they are going to remove another subsidy of petroleum. So before removing petroleum subsidy, they are saying that 11 million will push into poverty. So how about if they remove the subsidy? Maybe you could imagine how many million will push into the poverty again.
My name is Ibrahim Abdu. I'm from Rigasa, Makarfi Road. The federal government should do something possible that they will not bring people, that will not bring citizens into poverty. Federal government is there to provide goods and services for the people. And firstly, is that federal government should provide job opportunity for Nigeria. Let's go to issue of agriculture. Federal government should leave. What I mean is that federal government should diversify its economy by leaving oil and go into another means of getting money. For example, it should go to agriculture. Agriculture is one of the means where one can live. Without food, we cannot live. So federal government should provide job for citizens on agriculture by giving loan that is free loan. That is loan that is interest. The interest should be like should be little, not one that will cause problem for farmer. And likewise provide other means of job for citizens in Nigeria. I think that is my advice for federal government.
First of all, my name is Yakubu, and I'm a concerned Nigerian, just like everybody else. These statistics, if it's coming out from the federal government themselves, then it shows a great deal how the federal government is not even keen on tackling the problem of poverty in this country. First and foremost, this same government has claimed that it has removed 100 million Nigerians from poverty. Where are the 100 million Nigerians if the same federal government says 11 million more Nigerians will be admitted into the poverty bracket? You see, there's a contradiction in what they've said. Secondly, statistics from the Food and Agriculture Organization from the UN has even put the number between 15 and 16 million more Nigerians to be added into the poverty bracket. First of all, what is poverty? Poverty simply means, from the UN standard, when a human being is not able to spend on his feeding $1 per day. What is one?
Welcome back. Comrade, you had what some of the Kadunians have spoken, what is it exactly you understand, and where are they really heading to? Because there was a divergence, comprehension, about the way out from this poverty.
Well, I think the clip, is further drawing the attention of the federal government to the task before the federal government in alleviating the issue of poverty that is looming, that the ugly head is really pursuing us. So that's what they are doing, because one, I think the last speaker really has made the point very clear, because the government really doesn't have the statistics with which to face the public, because they said 100 million Nigerians were removed out of poverty. That is why anytime these things come about poverty eradication and what have you, we always tell the federal government, don't rely so much on this kind of the e-registration and the e-transfer and all this. Make sure that you involve the state governments directly. Let the state governments involve the local governments directly. These are all tiers of government that are supposed to be responsible for the citizens of this country. So that is why that number 100 million, if you check, I can tell you one official maybe 20 or 50 people out of that 100 million. And there are so many of these people cut across the three tiers of the system. But if these things are budgeted out, and we know the number of poor people per state, the state will know the number of poor people, the absolute poor people, the critically poor people in the local government area, and then by that they will now design what to be budgeted for that area. I think with serious monitoring, you will know what goes out, what has been disbursed to the people and what is not disbursed. And then from there you now make your next plan. But these things were just made like that, to the extent that there was a time we had a program in one of the radio television stations in this state, and the complaints of the public was that the people in some section of this country did not benefit as much as the other people of this country. So to the extent that there is a kind of imbalance in the distribution of the resources within the country. And at the same time, you find that even some of these things, when they come, the people in the northwest and the northeast will find it difficult really to even access some of these loans and then use them judiciously. Like the anchor borrower. The anchor borrower, you will not tell me that people in the northwest really are benefiting maximally as they should, or the people in the northeast are benefiting maximally as they should. So some of these things you really need to go to the state governments, put your criteria, and then draw up your lines of objectives, and at the same time set certain rules that will be followed. and then make sure that your officials are watching closely what the state government is doing, and then design some kind of measures that you'll take against any erring state government. If a state government or local government wants to bring politics into this, know what to do, stamp it, and then stop that. Because in governance there is no hatred. It's just the matter of implementation of a program to make sure that the objective for setting the program is achieved. But we have not done that. So to the extent that now we are now battling with the figures. The first time it was the figure of feeding the people, the pupils in the school. So the question of feeding, school feeding, became a problem in the essence that instead of really alleviating the poverty of the parents to bring their children to school, to increase intake and retention of students within the school, that was not coming. So most of the states that have started really have to abandon the program. And the federal government, via its agencies, was still saying that they are still on it and it's still working. And I know some state governments that have really volunteered to now assist the federal government and start. Have they been paid? So they have not been paid. So you find that most of these inconsistencies within the context of policy formulation of the government, really they are faulty. And they cannot be sustained. So the sustenance is the major problem. Once you cannot sustain a program that you have or a policy, then you have a problem. That's why before you enunciate a policy, about 7 factors must have to be brought to light. You have to know the history, you have to know the psychology, you have to know even the anthropological factors that are there. So you need to know them. So once you don't have these things, and you don't even consider the cultural activities of the people, you cannot be able to achieve. And this is the problem that we find ourselves in. So before you even give such kind of assistance for people to fight poverty, look at what is really the area, what is a predominant occupation of the people in the area. You cannot take really some activities like to say hide and skin. You want to really do that, and then you take it to Port Harcourt. That is wrong. Or you say crayfish something, and then you take it to Borno. So there are some really activities that are so predominant in an area, and that is why you look at. So you need to really have a compendium of such kind of activities in every local government area, and then know what to budget for the local government area and expect what they need to do. And if they want to go out of that, then at least they should now be assisted, be counseled, because there must be professionals who will now do some kind of counseling, do some kind of guidance, give some kind of guidance to the people that are beneficiaries of the program. But here in Nigeria, we are just interested in saying that this amount of money is allocated, and then these people are going to give out this money, and everybody is interested in giving the money without knowing, without putting the repercussion, you understand, the repercussion into account. So once that is not done, I'm telling you, we will still remain, we will continue to be fighting poverty and then not having the numbers. Our statistical data is really very, very inaccurate.
Well, apparently what you are able to dig out has necessitated me perhaps to look at some of the major causes of poverty, in Nigeria. Perhaps after it, we'll go to the public.
Okay.
Then later we close with the solution.
So, so you see, poverty in Nigeria is a child of so many variables. It's a factor of so many variables. When you look at it, the issue of corruption, because by now we should have finished fighting poverty. Countries that are not up to Nigeria have really gone far. Malaysia, for example, history has it that they are the largest exporter of palm kernel oil. Where did they get the seedlings? From Nigeria. And where is Nigeria today? You can't even afford to buy a pure palm oil in the market that is not adulterated. You are always skeptical which one you are going to buy. There was some time that this canned cooking oil that was brought into Nigeria. Somebody was telling us that it's just palm oil. They just do what they just did what they call decoloration. Yes. They remove the red color of it and they make it look like vegetable oil or groundnut oil. And we are buying these things very exorbitantly in the markets, whereas we have it here. So you find that some of these things really we don't put our eyes on. So this issue of corruption, until we look at it. And at the same time, we must make sure that the agencies, well, let me even divert a little. Yes. When you look at Kaduna, look at the industries that were just in Kaduna town itself. Kaduna South, Makera, Kakuri area. That time, these industries provide about 8 to 10,000 workforce for the common people. Then within a span of 2-3 years, most of these companies folded up. So when you look at about 8 million people, or 8,000 people, sorry, look at the boomeranging effect. They have their children, they have their relations elsewhere that they take. Some of them are breadwinners. Then all of a sudden they have no work.
Basically times 3.
Times 3. So when you look at it that way, and then why should we now say that sometimes crime will not be in the increase? Crime is just today that we try to look at to underrate certain lawlessness and remove them out of criminal activities, because we have more important crime or more devastating crime in the act of banditry and armed robbery.
Sophisticated.
Yes, sophisticated. But in the past, sometimes you find that to even go and take loan from your neighbor and not to pay is a crime, because it creates some kind of distrust, disunity. But now nobody looks at that one as a crime. So there are so many things that really happened to the extent that they keep growing and boomerang to where they are today. So not until such a time that some of these things the government is bold enough to look at it. And most governments today, when you look at the governments, they are not too keen in addressing the psychology of the people they govern. They become more interested in infrastructure that is too mechanical. That is too mechanical. And when you are too mechanical, the effect is that the psychology of the people that is overlooked, that is not addressed, now will manifest to fight against those mechanical things that you are putting. Because when they don't have where to really move on, they will now switch to vandalization and other things. Look at our roads in Kaduna. Instead of those roads to give you the succor, the joy of safe driving, some people will come, young men will come, driving at high speed, scaring everybody,
destroying
the traffic lights. And then what has happened? Some of these people, when they are caught, let the government even pay money to various news houses in Kaduna, and then show these people by their names, by their faces, and the kind of destruction they have done to them, because it's the property of the people. So let Castelia really start looking into that, some of those things.
Well, before then, let us go back to our callers. The number for the callers are as follows, and of course as usual, 081 45 68 7335, 081 45 68 73 35. The other one is 090 65 14 36 99, 090 65 14 36 99. Well, before we perhaps receive them, I think let us make, okay, somebody is on the line, I suppose. Okay. Hello?
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullah.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullah.
Sunana Abdurrahman Zamfara Jeje Trailer Park Abuja.
So we are with you. Go ahead and make your contribution.
Gida ya aiki.
So alhamdulillah.
ina ma ba ko fata alheri Allah ya sa ya zo lafiya kuma gida lafiya.
To mun gode kwarai madalla. Hello? Well, I think our viewers or callers should understand this is
Yes, this is an English, yes, it's an
program,
English program,
and they should try just
Yes, that's
no
right.
matter how in English. Hello?
Good morning.
Hello, good morning.
I'm Awusu from Nasarawa.
Who?
Awusu from Nasarawa.
Okay, Alisu from Nasarawa, go ahead and make your contribution.
Awusu not Alisu.
Okay, we are listening. Go ahead and make your contribution.
You see, Nigeria is the poverty capital of the world. Why is this so? Over the years, we've had so many economic policies of government that have not been started on the life of the people. Nigerians are poor. You see, when a government tries to monopolize knowledge, I think it is the people that have the knowledge. It goes wrong. Government needs to involve people even outside the party so that they can govern the people well. Nigerians are suffering. So this government will open the doors for Nigeria and open their bad faith so that they can contribute their ideas, knowledge, so that the economy will be good. Not that you will be parochial and sentimental and religious about something.
Yes.
Open space for everybody so that Nigeria will contribute. We have to capable hands that can lead this country. So they should give us space. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much with that contribution.
Okay, yes.
Yes, you raised a point, but
Yes.
let us get more
Yes, let's
callers.
go with callers. I've
Exactly.
taken note of this one. yeah.
Yes, this is it. Anyway, before, okay. Hello? Hello?
Hello.
Hello, good morning. Who is on the line?
So my name is Amina Adio from Bangladesh.
Okay, go ahead and make your contribution.
So I want to ask you something about the issue of Nigerian Youth Investment Fund.
Nigerian Youth Investment Fund.
Yeah.
Okay.
Our people are applied. Already get the program. So their name is Aja. So the ministry give them private training, online training. So they go to the training center, ask them about money of certificate, training certificate. So our people do not have this money to pay the certificate. That is where I want us to help you.
Okay, thank you very much. I think our guest has taken
I mean,
note. Okay, thank you, Aliu. Thank you very much. I think, do we have add one more?
Yes,
before
yes,
you
please, we
respond
can
to
add, yes.
Okay. Hello? Hello?
Hello, good morning.
Good morning. Please, can you shift a little bit away from your television set?
Okay, I can hear you very well now.
Okay, that's good. Go ahead and make your contribution. And what is your name?
Okay, my name is Grema Muhammad from Gondota.
Okay, Grandma, go ahead and make your contribution.
Yes, I have just a suggestion.
What?
I think I would suggest that the gentleman with you, I don't know him, I think we should contest for governorship of Kaduna State.
Ooh, please.
because he is the kind of person I think we would like to take over from Mana.
Wow.
So that we can have continuity of our jobs that Mana will leave behind and so many other things. So we are begging him please to contest so that we can vote for him very well. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I think, Kwamro, you should
No,
respond to
this
these
one, no.
three.
No,
Perhaps
only
you start
two.
with the last one.
No, the last one, I think I'm contributing.
Yes.
And at least, I think since 1979, I've always been on this kind of program since 1979.
Yes.
Immediately I finished my secondary school. So I've been invited to do some kind of things. I think the most important thing is that let us know what we have and let us now know what to do, and then assist whatever government that is in place, you understand, to achieve that. Because the attainment of the government is not for the government alone. The successes recorded by Maran Nasser El-Rufai, I don't see it as his own personal. It's my own attainment too. Because I'm a law-abiding citizen of this country. I'm supportive of the government. I keep doing the best that we can, and we pay our taxes. So at least it's a success for everybody. So let all Kaduna State people consider what is exactly happening as a collective success for everybody. And the issue of there is an issue that was raised about the economic team of this country. I think really we need to really have an economic team that is mentioned. When the president was on leave sometime, I think the vice president came up with something like that. But unfortunately, because of the way we people, myself inclusive, I think we came out and criticized the membership of that team. So I don't think really the team has really been working since that time.
Why can't
so
they?
Nigeria needs really an economic team, because not a kind of team that we have now. Agreed, the vice president can chair the team, but we cannot just have the vice president and then maybe minister of finance and then the state governors. The state governors, when they go, they have their own agenda. The federal government too has its own agenda. So you find that really the issue that is really bedeviling the people you find that it's not going to come. So we really need to look at that. And then about the youth trust fund that Ekola from Rigasa made. I think what you need to do is to contact the agencies that are really responsible for that, because some of these things are enunciated in the blueprint of the program, and we cannot really say that we'll sit down and then be complaining. So let us pursue them, let us get them to do that. And then when they refuse to do that, tell them that this should be in the spirit of the Open Government Partnership, because Nigeria is a signatory to it, and the part of the conditions of the Open Government Partnership is that you must carry the people along.
Well, I think, Comrade, I have to stop you here.
Well, maybe we'll have another. Thank you very much.
Well, viewers, I think this is where we are going to call it to the end. In the last 1 hour, we had 1 hour? Of almost an hour, you know. Our guest, Comrade Musa Zubairu, has spoken, elaborate on this topic. On behalf of my co-producer, Yusuf Idris, my name is Balaro Balao Zaria, once again saying good morning.